Hello everyone, welcome to my first episode of my How to Draw series. Today I will be drawing Superman. Today's tutorial was inspired by Jim Lee, one of my favorite comic book artists, and in this tutorial it's kind of based off of how he draws Superman. So without further delay, let's get right into it. The first step we want to do here is find the approximate center of the page. Then what we want to do here is draw a very light circle so we can find the positioning of where the head will be, since this is going to be a portrait style drawing and he will be looking straight ahead at you. Okay, now the next step I like to do is to start detailing or defining where the jaw and cheeks will be. If you notice, the lines I drew here have a slight angle to them and start from about the fourth quarter down on the circle. In this picture, I also draw a light line defining where the fourth quarter of the circle is. That's because the eyes are going to be drawn in. Next, we want to go ahead and finish out the jaw and close up the jawline there. Now, you want to give him a strong jawline since, you know, he is a superhero. I actually end up adjusting the jaw length later ahead in this video. Okay, so here I'm kind of I sped through a little bit. I'll be speeding through multiple parts of this video, but the next step here is we're going to go ahead and start drawing his eyes or his eyebrows here. And with the eyebrows, we're going to draw like 4 lines that make it look almost like a staircase. You will notice in a lot of Jim Lee's drawings, they have the same 4-line staircase look to them when it comes to his eyebrows. I end up adding a couple of small lines in between his eyebrows to give Superman more emotion in his stare. So then you're going to basically mirror the right side with the left when it comes to the staircase eyebrow for the other side of his face. And whenever I mirror something on one side, from one side to another, I always draw one side lighter so I can adjust it later on and there won't be any hard lines that I have to erase. Now when it comes to his eyes, they're a little bit blocky and they are almost like very, you know, like trapezoids, but not fully closed. So we'll go ahead and draw on the pupils there and adjust his upper eyelids. I always draw a little line hinting of where his upper eyelid will be. Let's go ahead and finish up this other eye here. There we go. Yeah, so you just want to eyeball this really. It's very important you kind of get it centered here. And all right, so now I'm drawing the nose, and when it comes to the nose, it's almost like a V shape, but that center line is actually going to be, well, it's a little bit off center, but usually people draw the bridge kind of farther out to the right when they draw that line. But when it comes to Superman, I like to draw it a little bit off the ball of the nose, that center line there. And we'll finish up his nostrils here. But when it comes to his nose, just draw a lot of lines that hint at where the nose is going to be. When Jim Lee draws stuff, he hints at a lot of stuff. He doesn't really detail it. He exaggerates things, almost as if there's too much there when it comes to muscles, and like almost something's not there. So yeah, we'll finish up the eyebrow there. I added a little bit of shading there. Now we'll probably go over this later on and ink it. Next, we're going to go ahead and move on to the mouth. Now, the mouth is very easy. I start off with a little V there, and that's kind of just, it's almost supposed to look like one of those, like, birds that you draw, like seagulls when you're drawing birds on, like, an old drawing when you were younger. It basically looks like that, and you want to line up the corners of the mouth with the pupil there. Okay, so we'll go ahead and finish up the mouth. And we'll work on the bottom lip, which is another trapezoid, and I add a little bit of a shade line, a little bit of shading underneath his lips so you can see where the chin and lip area kind of meet. And we're gonna give Superman some cheek lines that almost, if you drew a straight line from the corner of his mouth to that line there, that would match up. But we're going to give him, very strong cheekbones, because when you see a lot of Superman stuff, he has a very strong jawline, very strong cheekbone features. So we're going to go ahead and mirror that on the other side. And this is where I actually lengthen his jaw out and give him a stronger jaw. And if I were to do this again, I actually go ahead and fix that jaw a little bit, maybe not give it so much of a curve, but what are you gonna do? So we're gonna go ahead and draw the other side. Now I notice here that the right side there is uneven. It's a little bit higher on that side than the other side, and I like kind of keeping things even, so I go ahead and raise that up. So the next thing we're gonna do here is we're gonna give him the Superman curl, because right now he just looks like a regular guy. So yeah, the Superman curl is one of his best features and most noticeable features that kind of keeps his secret identity somehow. Yeah, it doesn't make sense to me either, but yeah, it's basically a long S that's kind of pointed on both ends. It's very simple to draw, and but it's also easy to mess up. Now what I like to do when it comes to hair, I like to lay out where the hairline is going to be, and I kind of give him a very small widow's peak. It's not too noticeable, and it doesn't go back that far, but it's it's kind of there. Now when it comes to the hair here, it's basically a lot of unfinished triangles until it starts going into the sideburn. When it starts going into the sideburn, it just becomes a bunch of lines really close together and at an angle. And I kind of just follow it around, and I finish off we'll finish off the cheekbone here. And there we go. We'll shade up the above the ear. And then when it comes to the ear, it's kind of a difficult shape to describe, but it's basically an oval and with a slight point on the right side. And I like to do this long kind of 3 on the inside. It's like the number 3. And I do 2 more lines. It's like a little circle and then another line above. And it's just kind of to hint there that, that's an earlobe. That's all it is. And it's an earlobe. I know it's an earlobe, and it's just, that's all it is. A lot of people have a lot of trouble with drawing them because they overthink. They see it, and when you're drawing in a comic book style, it doesn't have to be realistic. That's what a lot of people think when they see like a lot of comic books. Like, oh, you draw so realistic. It's actually just a lot of exaggeration that makes it look cool. But it's none of this is anatomically correct. None of it. So. Yeah, that's what makes a lot of drawings look cool. So now we're gonna work on we're working on the hair here. Now with this hair, I like to keep it wavy and kind of longer, because when he's Superman, it's kind of messy and it's just kind of everywhere. And so I like to keep it wavy. But you can also mess with this if you like the classic look where it's kind of laid down. You can do that, but I like to keep it a little bit messy and long when I draw Superman. Jim Lee, I believe, when he draws Superman, if you look at a lot of his work, his hair is kind of really messed up, almost as if he flew at like Mach 10 through the sky and his hair got messed up by the wind. And I'll finish up by drawing the ear on the other side. There, go ahead and I'll draw the other 3, just mirror it out. And notice every time I do that, it's just a little bit lighter than the other side, just so I can match it up. I also draw lines above the eyebrow to kind of give them a little bit of age, but you don't want to do too heavy of a line, or else you'll really add age to somebody. The more lines you draw on a face, that's like the easiest way to add age to a person or a drawing. Is to draw extra lines, like even that, like the shading I did underneath the eye there. That can add a few years to somebody. And I'll go ahead and finish up the lip here. I don't think I mentioned it, but I did put a little bit of a center of the upper lip indentation there, and I'll put a little bit of shading underneath each of the cheekbones there, and I'll put a little bit more detail into the hair. This is where you'll kind of really get to see what I did here. This is basically, it almost reminds me of the way kind of the Super Saiyan Dragon Ball Z hair is. I'm sure a lot of you guys, if you're watching this, you're familiar with Dragon Ball Z. Everybody knows Dragon Ball Z, but it kind of looks like that. But when you ink it, I leave it a little bit light right now, but I'll start shading it a little bit later on. But it's gonna have a lot of heavy blacks in his hair because his hair is black, and I'm not gonna color it solid black, but you'll see how I do it later on. And now when it comes to his neck, what I like to do is start, right underneath the earlobes where they connect to the head and go down, because he's gonna have a really thick neck. He's a superhero. Now I will fix this on the right side here in a moment. I noticed that the right side is a little bit longer than the other side, so I'll fix that here. And there we go. I'll finish that up. Now this part is where we're going to draw the upper chest here. Kind of a stretched out obtuse V, and that was his upper chest. I'll hint at where his kind of jugular veins are there. There's little neck muscles and stuff. Alright, so we're back, and I'm going to go ahead and start working on the chest a little bit more. I worked on the hair, and I fast forwarded through that part, but now I'm going to go ahead and start defining where everything is going to go, even the shadows. Underneath his neck here, there's going to be a very dark, black, heavy area where it's going to be underneath his jaw where no light is hitting, and there's going to be a couple of more lines there, which is a very common thing to do when it comes to drawing comics, is to add heavy black ink areas, and we're going to go ahead and finish up on the neck there. Alright, so then we're going to go here. I already drew it on the right side, but now I'm finishing up on the left side. It's his cape. His cape is kind of just tucked into his suit for some reason. I don't know how it stays on there, but it is. So his suit's just kind of tucked into his suit, and it's just kind of some mountains on his trapezoids there. And when it comes to his logo, which is what we're drawing now, it's basically a huge diamond. And I'm sure you guys are familiar with the Superman logo if you're watching this, but it's basically just a big diamond with angled sides on the left and right. You can see I'm measuring to get both sides even on his chest, and it's just approximate with my hands there. And I'll go ahead and start defining where his pecs will end on his left and right side there, and where his arms meet. And while I'm doing this, I also like to mention, so let me know what you guys think about this drawing setup here. I have a couple of overhead lights going so I can get some good lighting. But yeah, and I have it centered. You might see those little marks in the corner. That just tells me where the frame is and what the camera can see, so I'm not putting anything ever, out of frame. All right, but back to the video. Here we are working on the S for the Superman logo, and it's basically another headless triangle here without one of the tips is cut off of that triangle, and that's going to be the beginning of our S. And for this part, you're basically just going to want to watch. It's kind of difficult to explain because it's a lot of weird shapes, but I think here I'll draw an actual S inside of it to kind of give me an idea of how this curve is going to work, and from there it kind of gets pretty easy, because it's kind of difficult to add in those an S into a diamond shape. But you're going to really want to watch closely on this part, and maybe even look at an actual Superman S logo in order to get the right shape to this. And you can also pick from your favorite style, because this is one of the older type of S symbols, and there's some newer stuff. There's like the Man of Steel S, which is a little bit thinner and has more of a 3D look to it, because it has like beveled edges. So yeah, just kind of, you can pick the S you want here, but it's basically preference. There we go. So we'll finish off the S there. That's just basically about does it. I'll go ahead and add a little bit more shading to the pecs here in the corners to kind of show, it's to kind of give me an idea of where we're going to ink it. In part 2 of this video, I'll show the inking process that I go through. And for that, it's just going to be, you know, me following where I did those lines, because it's mostly to give me an idea of where I'm going to put the black ink in. So, and when you guys start drawing, you know, more and more, I'm sure a lot of you already know, you know, how or have an idea of where the ink is gonna lie and where the shadows are gonna go, because he's kind of has a top down light casting on him. That's kind of the idea I had, that the light was going to be shining down on him. And so now I'm drawing in some of the hair here with this here. There we go. I'm shading in some of the lines there, and I'm just emphasizing once again where the black colors are going to be. It's just to remind me when I'm inking once again. And we're probably going to speed through this part here because it's a lot of the same thing. There's not much to talk about, but yeah, we're going to go ahead and speed through me shading hair. Okay, now that we got the hair all shaded here, I noticed that his hair was kind of getting on my nerves there, so I went ahead and made it a little bit shorter there on that one strand there. Now I'll go ahead, add a little bit more shading here. In just a moment, I will go ahead and do a very simple background, just to kind of fill in that negative space. This is a thing I do a lot, is just lines kind of slowly getting farther and farther apart in the background to give it that just a simple look. But yeah, so this is we're almost done here with our Superman how to draw tutorial. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you you learned some things and kind of got a better feel for how to draw Superman, and kind of just even if you're not really an artist and just watching this for fun, you know, I really appreciate you guys watching this. But yeah, so I'll go ahead and wrap it up. So thanks very much for watching this video of how to draw Superman. And I just want to let you know that if you guys like this video, feel free to check out some of my other videos. I have some speed drawings up that I decided are going to be more vlog style videos, so you can just kind of, you know, learn about what I'm doing and how it's going for me. So if you're interested in just seeing me draw some random stuff, go ahead and check that out. I'll leave some links below for that and some annotations. Also, if you want to see some other stuff that I do with a couple of friends, besides drawing, we started a gaming channel called Only Strongmen. I'll leave an annotation as well as a link in the description below. So go check that out. It's really fun. We put up videos all the time there. So yeah, feel free to check that out. And thank you very much for watching, and have an awesome day. Bye.